Okay, this is where we left off in the last session. In this session, we're going to tackle this guy right here, and this will actually be even faster than this because we just have the boulders. We don't have these guys down here or anything like that. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is, of course, set this thing up by turning everything off that we don't need to work with. I may leave these guys on just so I can see what's going on here. In which case, this is probably good right here. So, like with the rest, I'll make a copy of the template that we originally created, just duplicate that and then turn off the original. And this is the guide that we're going to work from. The first thing we want to do is we only have one edge we have to deal with right here. So I'm going to grab my marker pen, just like what we had did over here. Make sure I have the black ink. And I'm just gonna draw in kind of different boulders here. Now what I think I'm gonna do is make this a little bit bigger, and then I don't want all the boulders to appear the same size, and I don't want them necessarily to all be perfectly round like bowling balls. I'll shrink it down, and we'll just, add some other stuff in there. Okay, I think that will work. This will give us enough to work from. And I think we're ready to start painting. Okay, the first thing we'll do is create our layer here. I want to change this to white. And I'm going to use my blending brush. And I want a lot more shadow in here. So basically we painted the rocks quite a bit here. You can see that. But in this one, I want a lot of black. And I want that black to be almost like this. I mean, there's just absolutely no color. Okay, so I have to figure out where do I want my rocks to be, and so let's kind of boost this up. Just there we go, like that, so that I can see everything here. And I think I'm going to want a boulder here. I want a boulder here. And so I'm just kind of tracing out. Now I don't want to make sure that I don't get any, make it look like it's all back and forth. It's got to look random, right? Nature is random. Okay, and I think I'll put one in front of this guy here. Just kind of soften these edges a little bit because I want to make it feel like it's just dropping down into darkness there. And let's see. I'm just trying to shape them so that I can create a nice flow. Okay, see, I went off the edge there, and the reason for that is because I did not have this guy selected. There we go. Yeah, I'm gonna, because it's really important. I want to, wherever the shadows are, I want them to feel pretty dark, very unsaturated, very, very high contrast. That's the thing, as we get closer, there's more contrast. That's another thing, in comparison to something that's further away, the contrast, it loses its contrast. And nice size boulder right there. And a nice size one there. Put that back, and I'm going to move this out of my way. And let's see how this all comes together. And as you can see, I mean, you can tell it's going to be much easier than the other ones, because now we're just going to kind of shade these in and just pull it down. Like I said, I want a lot of dark area. And these are going to be highly detailed, and I got to be careful. I do not want to mess with the edges, because I want sharp edges, because being closer, it's less blurred. A lot more detail. And so I want these edges to be pretty sharp. And that's why I did this the way I did it. It was, draw the edge, and then I'm just going to pull the paint down into the stone. Like that. This one's a little easier to do, because I have this creating the edge for me. But when I get down to these guys, I got to be a lot more careful, because I have nothing to protect that except my hand, my ability to control this brush. Let's see, I just wanted everything to kind of disappear into the darkness, into the shadow. It not only gives us, more realism of being closer, but it also gives us, more interest, something almost, there's an emotion to it. And there's going to be some extra steps too that we're going to do with this to kind of bring some of this out more too, to get, especially like with texturing and stuff like that, because this guy's got to have more texture. He's closer, so we're going to see a lot more details in these rocks. So what does that mean we're going to do? Well, that's a surprise. Actually, we're going to do a lot of the same things that we did in the last one, except it's just that we're also going to add a couple of steps, or at least one more step. I haven't decided yet, because I don't know if I'm going to use a technique that I like to do. But if I do, I'll explain it. Even if I don't, I'll explain it. And show you what the alternatives are to doing this, but I don't know yet. don't know yet. That little rock down, come up. There you go. But there are definitely a couple of things that we're going to do to this rock, to these rocks, that we didn't do in the other ones. Now just start adding some stuff in here. In some cases, simpler is better, and this is definitely a lot simpler than over here, but we're going to have a lot more plants, or bigger plants over here too, so there'll be, you know, covering up a lot of this. Okay, now what I want to do is, so that, not that. I want to go with the empty, my invisible ink, and I'm just going to kind of sharpen these edges of these rocks and give them, and that's because we don't want necessarily to have it blurry, because it's, I mean, it's right on the camera. The camera's right here. So and I don't necessarily want them to be completely smooth. We'll add some movement or some edges to it, but I don't want any sharp edges, of course, because these are soft boulders or rounded boulders. We'll give them texture though, and we're going to give them lots of texture here in a minute. Okay. But where we have the shadows, we want them not to, we don't want the shadows to be blurred or to be washed out. We need the shadows to be pretty bright, or pretty dark. Lots of contrast, I guess. Let's get back to that. There's lots of contrast. Okay, and what I'm trying to do is just, you know, make the edges sharp where they need to be sharp. Now, we get into the sides here and everything, that doesn't need to be as sharp. That should be, you know, quite blurred. Okay, back here. Let's see. you don't want the edges to be, you know, I think that might be enough for this. Okay, so I'm going to add another layer here. Pick my white, and now I'm going to use a different brush, and I'm going to a watercolor, and this running color edge watercolor, what a name. Okay, that is provided with Clip Studio, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to make this as an overlay, and I'm just going to go in and start adding some edges to it like this. See how it's kind of rough, and that's what I want. I don't want it to be absolutely smooth. I want it to kind of be, you know, a diffused look to it. The light is bouncing off the surface all over the place on these guys, just because they have a very rough edge. But be careful on these kinds of edges right here. I don't want those rough. There's a thing called frenet, which is where as something bends around and moves away from you, it actually starts to take on a reflectiveness to it, and that's just simply because the edge is, you're looking at the edges at a like angle, and so you don't see as many of the divots and stuff like that there. So it will tend to look very, very smooth. And so when you're drawing and you're shadowing or shading stuff, make sure that your edges, you know, are smoother than, let's say, right in the middle here. Okay, I think for now that's what I'm going to do. I just have, as you can see, it's enough to make it rough, and we're going to add some more to that. But before we do that, I'm going to add one more layer here, and we are going to render in our Berlin noise. I'm going to make these a little bigger and a lot more contrast on them, and we'll give them a little bit more detail. We could do that, but I think let's try this first. If this doesn't work, we'll do it again. I'm just trying to find what I think would be a nice angle to it. I'm going to overlay this like that. And then what we'll do is I'm going to brighten it up a little bit. Kind of like that. Now we get some good contrast between our blacks and the whites. Come back down here to this guy. And what I'm going to do, still with my water brush there, and we're just going to kind of bring in some more stuff here. And now you can see we got some nice sharp edges there. And I'm using this just to kind of pull out more of this stone look to it. Softening and also giving more feeling of texture in there. And just kind of, again, if you're doing this, take your time on it, play around with it, experiment with it, see what you can do with it, and you might, especially in your experimentation, you might find some really cool effects with it. All right, here we go. I'm going to come back up, and I want to create a layer above everything here. And we're going to do like what we did with these. We're going to add a color overlay. Let's see. I'm just going to pick that color there and just fill it in. Make it a hard light. And now we can adjust it. I want to keep a lot of the saturation because, again, as we come closer, the more color we're going to retain. And then just kind of change the color more like what we have up here. Okay, let's turn off. And there we are, full size. And what I'd like to do is get these blacks a little better. What happens if I... See, I don't want to do that. That's not going to work. So, what we need to do is take out some of the saturation. Oh, there we go. Yeah, take out some of the saturation. There we go. There we go. It's actually, we want to keep the saturation. We just want to turn down the luminosity so our blacks get blacker. Yeah, let's see. There we go. Now we're getting some contrast there. Now, the one thing I didn't do in the last one that I need to do, and I'm going to do it to this one first, and then we'll come back and do this guy. We already did it to this guy, and I'll show you what I mean. I come here, and I'm going to control click on that on our base layer, come back up here, and I'm going to the gradient, and I'm going to use the foreground to transparent so that we have the black. And then I'm going to come right about here and go at an angle towards the corner. Like that. All right. And then, not hard light, what if we... Yeah, kind of do that. Okay, now in this case, see, it keeps getting darker and darker back here. And now what we can do is kind of lighten it up just so that we don't get such harsh, but it still makes it a little darker as we go back. So now, with that in mind, let's do that to this guy over here. And I'm going to click on, control click on the base layer here, add a layer to the top, right here, and we're going to do the same thing. And except I'm going to come straight back, and from right about here, kind of like that. We'll make it an overlay as well. And I wonder what would happen if we... Yeah, we'll drop it down under our hard light here. And then we're going to just kind of increase the luminosity so we get more contrast. Don't care about the saturation because there is no saturation there. It's just black. Black to gray, so no color at all in it. Okay, and there we go. Now, what I want to see is what it looks like with our sun rays turned on. See, so we brighten this, and now you can kind of see it's really brightening up this and all of that back there. Okay, and if we turn on our plants, and now the plants are starting to look like they're just kind of pasted on, right? Yeah, and that's because we haven't anchored them into our rocks yet, which we'll do eventually. But we're getting a good idea how this looks here and how these will look with that color just coming right through on it. It's starting to take shape. It's starting to look real. And when we get these guys in, these ones that are way back there, it's going to make fill out the composition more and give us more of that depth. So I think the next one we'll do is this one right here, B4. No, not B4, B5. This one here, because that's going to really make these two, all of these, make them more depth. That depth is going to, because this will go way out there. It's not going to be as sharp as what we're seeing here.